And do I count the mileage only for when I take her, when she's in the car, or do I count the mileage, the total mileage?
Okay. Hi, Barb. I got started just a couple of minutes before you.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
With Cynthia here, and she was asking me a question. So did you want to get started here and with everything, or just get back to Cynthia?
We can just get back to Cynthia. I was just going to welcome everybody. And if you're, any questions you have, if you're not comfortable talking on video, you're welcome to type them in the chat. I'll monitor everything. I suspect we might have some people come and go. So yeah, okay. We're here to answer all your questions. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi.
Pretty name with a face. I'll just go ahead and get back to your question, but thanks everybody for being here.
Okay, yes, thank you. Cynthia, would you repeat your question, please? I'm sorry.
My client, I was transporting her to her day program. So I drive her 22 miles, drop her off, and then I have to drive myself 22 miles back home. And then in the afternoon, I drive 22 miles to pick her up. And then with her in the car, I drive 22 miles back home. Do I count 44 miles, just the time that she's in the car, as for my mileage, or do I count the whole 88 miles?
Okay, and to answer that question, when you drop her off and you go back to your home, let me ask you this. Do you work out of your home? In other words, they contact you to pick her up, drop her off, and then call you to go back and pick her up, or that type of thing?
Well, she lives with me, so.
Pardon me?
I said she lives with me, so that's just the way.
Okay, that helps a little bit too.
Way we do it is, she just has her set times. I know that she has to be dropped off at her day program at 9 o'clock, and she must be picked up at 2:10.
Okay. The answer to that question, I would give you round trip. Okay.
Okay. That's what I wasn't sure about. I wasn't sure, if it was only the time that she's in the car or.
Not necessarily, because like when you go to pick her up, she's not in the car, but you're performing a service to go pick her up. Okay. And then take her back so you can have the round trip. Yes.
Okay. I appreciate that.
If there would be a dispute, they would be in your favor.
Yeah. Well, I kept my log, my mileage log. I kept it.
Business with you, where she lives and everything. Yes.
Okay. That was my question.
Yeah. Yeah. And this year it's split. So you get a little bit more. 58.5 is your first half of the year, and 62.5 cents is the last half. And I do want to state that if you don't show it half of the year and the other half what your mileage was, the Internal Revenue Service is allowing us to split it. Like if you went 10, we can go 5 first and 5 at the end, or you can predict the busiest time for you during the year, and we'll accommodate that in some way.
Okay.
It'll give you a little more towards the end of the year this year. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. And also what I want you, and maybe you've been advised, we discussed this earlier in the last session, that at the beginning of the year, now that we're starting January 2023, make sure that you take beginning odometer and ending. That's very important. If you don't keep it each trip, as far as odometer reading, it's okay, as long as you keep your mileage, and then the rest will know what's personal.
Okay.
So just be sure that you do that, because you go on an audit, they're going to want to see that. Okay.
Yeah, I keep the my log in the car. So every time before I start the car, I get the odometer, write it down.
Okay.
And every time I turn off the car, I go write it down.
So we can do it either way, but that's good that you're doing that. Very good. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. All right. Then we have Donna, I think, listed here. Let's see. Yeah, let me get, that thing is sticking on me.
Mine too.
There we go. Okay, Donna.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. And my name is Sharon Smith. I think you've already heard.
Yes.
And I'm here to assist you in any way that I can. So what is your question?
Oh, Well, I don't really have a question. I came to listen to everyone else.
Oh, okay.
This was more, I watched your first video several weeks ago and I thought it was be informative like that one was. Maybe I read the flyer wrong.
This was more informative.
Was there
Okay.
any information, Donna, that you'd like Sharon to expand on or anything missing from, I don't know what services or even what county you're from?
I'm from Portage County
Okay.
and actually I do the PDN nursing.
Ah, okay.
So, no, I just wanted to listen to other questions to see if I was on the same track and keeping up with things.
Understood. And Cynthia, you're from Pickaway County, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought I recognized your name.
Yeah, we send a lot of emails back and forth to each other, but
Yes, it's nice to put a name with a face.
Yeah. Yeah, really nothing has changed for this year, like, the session we had before with Barbara at the library, but just the mileage changing. And but as far as Donna, with anything, I guess I can just, how many years have you been in the healthcare provider?
Just the healthcare provider, what I'm doing now.
Yeah, how long have you been doing it?
I started out as a HPC, which is the aide, and then I went into nursing probably a total of 10 years ago. And now
Oh, okay.
6.
Okay, so you're familiar
Original
with
nursing
some of
40
your
years ago.
expenses and everything.
What's
Okay.
that?
You're familiar with your expenses?
Yes. I just wanted to
Okay.
make sure I was doing everything correctly.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's a lot of things that, small, minor things that people leave out, but in general, yeah, they're pretty well informed. Yeah. Okay.
It was interesting to hear about when you spoke about having this in your home.
Pardon me? I'm having an audio issue here
It was
with
interesting
hearing
when you
Donna.
it was interesting when you spoke about having an office in your home.
Mm-hmm.
Had to be just for that. It couldn't be like within another room or,
Right, it's where you would do your billing,
Mhm.
from, and maybe keeping a list of any of the individuals you're providing for, things like that. Yeah, it has to deal strictly with healthcare provider. Yeah,
I don't have that, unfortunately. It's
they're
on my
very strict on
regular
that, but
computer.
a lot of people do their billing, will bill the state or whoever they're, pays you. And because people have to keep track of that.
Mhm.
Are you an
And-
independent nurse, Donna? Do you bill for your services yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
She bills for herself?
Mhm.
Yes.
I didn't hear that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you have,
yeah,
Donna, do
Go
you have
ahead.
do you have a designated area like that you keep files and that type of thing?
Not per se. I mean, I
Okay.
keep them, but it's not, I couldn't call it my office.
I gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, there's really not much that has changed. For expenses, I just say anything and everything. And if you're not sure, then you just take it to the person that does your tax returns
Mhm.
and ask. So don't ever hesitate to list everything. It may not look like you're entitled to it, but you don't know until you actually get someone, that has the tax regulation experience.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
But,
Sharon, I have
yes.
one question for you. With
Yes.
regard to paying taxes quarterly, how do
Mhm.
you, because I've talked with a couple providers who are starting out, and I've been encouraging them,
Mhm.
to pay quarterly. How do you
Okay.
get that? Does their tax professional give them the magic number they're supposed to take? Like if it's 35 or 40 or whatever that percentage they should pay, how do they get
Okay.
that? Or is there a good place to start?
Yeah, that is a good question, Barbara, because I'm asked that quite a bit. And I do encourage quarterlies. And what we do, once I complete the return or any other tax prepare, you can avoid self-employment tax, which is paying into Social Security and Medicare for the self-employed. That's, you have a profit, you pay. Even if you zero out on your tax itself, you know, the federal tax itself. So that's 15.3%. And you need to at least hold 15.3% out to pay that in on your profit. 15.3%, that's your Social Security and your Medicare together, okay? And so that's one thing I take into consideration in estimating what to do quarterly. The next, what I do, and I know sometimes it's hard from year to year. Sometimes you got a lot of expenses, the next year maybe not. You know, it can vary. But I do an average. Let's say you're in the 12% tax bracket. Okay, I know this seems like a lot, but at least I'll tell them to hold at least 10%, if not the 12% bracket they're in. Okay, so if you add 15.3 onto that, that seems like a lot coming out of your pay. If you always with, you know, to send in too much, you can get a refund or a credit to the next year. But I do encourage these quarterlies, especially now with the tax regulations the way they are. And sometimes when somebody said, can I pay it all at one time? Sure, you can if you want to. First, second, third, fourth quarter. If they don't want to pay every 4 quarters. But Barbara, that's a good question. I'm asked that a lot. And to estimate it, sometimes someone will say that's a little too much for me. So we'll try to come a little lower on that federal tax. Like I mentioned, the 12%. But that 15.3 is the important one because, boy, you have to pay that no matter what's on that tax return. That's
so I have a couple
there.
people who have done their taxes themselves in the past. What do you recommend? Do they, I've been just basically telling them to find a tax preparer and have them look over last year's to give you an idea for this year. If they don't have somebody, do they just like at least do the 15.3 or what is your recommendation if they don't have a tax preparer that's guided them?
Okay, if they don't have a tax preparer or they just choose not to go, and that's fine.
Sure.
You know, there's nothing wrong with that. They need to go on the Internal Revenue website, and there are forms, first, second, third, fourth quarter. It's blank. They can print them out. But that 15.3 that's the same every year. That has not changed.
Okay.
And like I said, that's paying into Social Security and Medicare for self-employed. Okay. And so then as far as the other, they're welcome to call and say, you know, here's about what my income is on that one line, you know, the taxable. And I'll ask a couple of questions. I'm not going to charge for that if they want to call, and I'll give them a close figure, not accurate because I haven't seen their whole situation, but I could help a little bit. But that 15.3 is the important on that. And then depending on your other tax bracket, I've seen where people's had to withhold like half of what they have, you know, for their tax situation. It just depends. I know it changes every year, and sometimes that can be difficult as far as the federal, you know, percentage. But for themselves, they can go on the website and print those quarterlies out. Sometimes I'll have somebody say, but no preparer's ever told me this before. It's your decision if you want to send them in. I'm here to do it, or any other preparer that you would have, we can set it up. If you don't choose to send it in, that's up to you. We don't force it, but we sure recommend it. Okay, I've got some people say, well, I don't know if I'm going to send them, but that's up to them.
That ultimately,
or whatever.
Sharon, is that ultimately, do you recommend paying quarterly just so you don't get surprised at the end of the year with a big chunk?
Yes,
that's
I do
less?
recommend it.
Okay.
And depending on their tax situation. Now,
Sure.
with the state of Ohio, we're still at 100% write-off. Okay. And what I mean by that, let's see, after all your income and your expenses, and let's say you make $500, and that 500 comes directly off of the state of Ohio. So you don't have to do quarterly on them at this time. They haven't changed that regulation yet. Okay, and as for school for your quarterlies, you have to do that now. If you let's say that with the $500, some people do the quarterlies for school, some don't. We go ahead and do it to see, some people say, well, I'm only going to owe like $100 in my school district, and some don't like to do it, $25 a quarter. So I wouldn't do it. But if you owe more than 300, yeah, you have to do the quarterly on the school. The city, oh boy, if you live in a city tax area, you better do those quarterlies, because boy, they are hitting big on penalty and interest. Big. I've never seen it hit so hard as 2022 did. Really hard. And they will penalize you. The cities will. They'll do it. And especially if you're in a RETA city, that's the Regional Income Tax Department. And I've seen somebody only owe $67 and ended up penalty and interest because she didn't send it in on time. And now it's accumulated more, $315 in penalty and interest, and she only owed $67.
Wow.
So that's why I said, boy, on these cities, be very careful. Okay.
That's interesting, because you always expect the penalties from federal. You never, I don't
Right.
think about the city, I think, oh, they'll be a little lenient, but
Right.
apparently not.
No, I'll tell you, the cities are coming down hard. I've just noticed the state's starting to a little bit, but like I said, that's a write-off, on self-employment income. So you don't have to worry about that. The school, I've seen it a little bit, but boy, that city is tough.
Yeah.
They're really hitting hard. So you got to be careful with that. But as we've said several times already, I do recommend the federal. And if you do your own, go on and print it off.
I can
You
speak
give
to
me a
that.
call just to ask me a question. There's no charge for that, and I'll guide them on how to at least come to a decent figure.
I can say I pay mine online on the irs.gov, and
You
it's
can do it
really
online,
easy.
yes.
It's very
Mhm.
simple to do. I was surprised. I expected complicated, but
Your
Yeah.
quarterly tax?
The only thing when you do that,
Mhm.
just be very careful, just for the first time. If you do it online, just be very careful with what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, it asks you to like verify some questions based on, and you can pick the year of the tax year that you filed. It'll ask you how you tax, did you file singly, joint, married, joint,
Right,
whatever.
right. It did. Yeah, there's a lot of questions there,
Yeah.
but yeah, I really emphasize that too. And records.
That's another question I hear a lot. Sharon, how long do you, and I know you touched on this, but I will drive it home like we just did the quarterlies.
Yes.
Keeping of records and proof and documentation and all that stuff, because it's different. I mean, everybody hears the 7 years, but because you're a small business, what's your recommendation?
Okay, on that, this is where it's different. Let's say you started being self-employed in the healthcare provider in the year 2000. Let's just use that as an example. This is 2023. You better have every record clear up to 2023. Or I mean 2022, excuse me, because that's the year we're doing. I know that's a lot of years of keeping records, but if they find one thing fraudulent with that business, they'll go clear back, and they can do it. I've heard of it one time. And then let's say you've retired in 2023. You're not going to do it anymore. Okay, you've got to keep those records for 10 years after. Now, I know that's a long time, but if they want to open that up, you better have those records. And as an example, I had someone, I didn't know the person. They came into the office and said, I need 15 years ASAP, return done. And he was in a construction business. Okay. And I said, well, I need your receipts. I don't have them. They hit him big. I couldn't help him other than filing the return and showing no expenses against his income. Because if they didn't see those receipts, he wasn't getting anything. But he didn't think he had to file because he deducted child support off of his business, and you're not allowed to do that. And he didn't think he owed anything, and he got burned real bad. So that's why I said it's so, just as an example, they went back 15 years on him. 15 years. So, you know.
I just threw out all my old records.
And that's why I said,
After
I know
7
people
years.
say, but I've got so many years of records. Now individual, if you're not a Schedule C or a farm or anything like this, rentals or whatever, investments, if you're just a regular individual return, you only have to keep those 7 years. But you're a Schedule C, you're a provider. And that's business. And you have to hold those records different.
I think that's where a lot of independents get into, we think of ourselves as self-employed, or independent. We don't often think of ourselves as we are a small business. And
Right, you don't. And basically the Internal Revenue Service looks at, they look at you as a small business provider. Yeah. Provider, that's what you are. Okay. And so I just can't emphasize how important it is. There's just, because boy, some of the things that, well, my neighbor said, or the person that I work with said, and that happens with all of us. I mean, no, talk to someone that knows taxes. Yes. An accountant, a tax professional, whatever. But because that person you work with or a neighbor, boy, some of the answers I've heard is unreal, and it's misguided you a lot. But I can't emphasize it. So anyway, okay. But yeah, it's just so many things, and just like we talked, a lot of people didn't know they could have their cell phone. A percentage of it. And you can. They don't even look at that. They don't question it much anymore, because
You review that cell phone part again?
You can have part of your cell phone as being a health provider. Well, in any business, not just a health, but you can have a percentage of it. Say you use it 60% of the time, you can pretty well tell when, close enough, in fairness. Okay, I use it like 60%. I'm available at all times to that person I'm providing for, so you do get a percentage of your cell phone on that. You can't have 100% because some of it is personal, but you can have some of it. Yes. You can have that cell phone. Also on your vehicles, a lot of people, let's get back to that. With the cell phone situation, Donna, just like you get the mileage, but let's say that you have a loan on that vehicle. You can also have the interest you pay. You'll get a percentage of that over the mileage. Okay. You can't have the other because you'll take actual, your standard mileage method, but you have to make sure if you have a loan on that car that you use for that, you can have that interest, a part of it. and it'll calculate it for you. Okay, so that's missed a lot too. So that's why I emphasize, taking as much expenses as you're entitled to. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of little things people don't think about. Not that they're ignorant to it, they just don't think about it. They don't. I mean, pens, pencils, paper, somebody will just laugh it off. And I said, but you've got to make your reports.
It adds up.
IRS says you can have that, and maybe you don't have an office in the home. And let's say you use your computer to enter, maybe you do a spreadsheet or whatever. You can have a percentage of that computer. They'll let you have it because you're using it part for business if you don't have the office in the home. Okay. And so you can have that. So it's just a lot of little things. Well, I don't have office in the home, and my computer I use personal. You can still have it all the time. Okay. So
What about like insurance policies? Because I had this conversation this week. Generally, I personally don't need one because I'm a DSP caring for my sister. But if I were to care for a non-family member, some type of, liability, personal umbrella liability insurance is recommended.
yes, it is.
Can you consider that an expense?
Yes,
Okay.
because it's something you wouldn't normally have.
Understood.
And so, yes. You can have that. And some people, because usually it's separate, okay? But if it's not, if they put it into your entire policy, those insurance companies can, separate it for you, because I've had people do it. But if you have to be bonded for a certain reason, normally not, but I mean, if you have to be, I only have one situation that occurred, and I know the reason why. But yeah, you can have the insurances you pay out and everything.
Does that include vehicle, or how do you handle like vehicle insurance?
No.
Okay.
The only thing with vehicle is if you take if you depreciate your vehicle, you can have repairs and everything. But with your type of work, usually the mileage is the best, plus the little bit of interest that you get from a loan that you would have on your vehicle. Okay. Because even if you depreciate that vehicle, which most cases I don't recommend because of the profession, but I mean, you can have the choice. You're the taxpayer. I can show you both sides of it, and you make your decision. Do you want the mileage? You want this? But you're only going to get a percentage. You won't get the whole write-off on the car. You can have all those expenses, but only a percentage. Okay. Because we have to enter that mileage to get the percentage. So you can have one or the other, the higher of. That's what they give you. But if you're starting your vehicle for the first year, let's say, okay, you're new in as a provider, you go with the mileage rate first, then we can switch back and forth from actual to, if you choose to do that. Okay. I don't recommend back and forth, but you have that option. Okay. Pardon me? No. Now you have to start with the mileage year first. So, but so Donna, as you can see, there's a lot of little things that you can take, and you're entitled to it. And if you went on an audit, they would ask questions and give you those deductions. Okay. And that's what they would. They would do. And if you paid somebody to prepare your return last year, you get part of that fee written off.
Right.
Yep.
I don't do it myself.
If you have to go to an attorney concerning this, maybe for some reason, I don't know what it would be, but as a health provider, maybe you have to for a certain reason. You can have all of that expense and the travel back and forth to the attorney and the post office. And I don't care what it is, the bank, maybe you're going to the bank for your health provider or something. All of that mileage is deductible. Anything you do for that person. And she'll say, okay, would you pick me up a sandwich? Sure. go pick up the sandwich for her, bring it back. You're providing for her. You get that mileage. Some people say, well, it's only 2 or 3 miles. That can add up through the year. So go ahead and write it down. That's what I say. Anything and everything. Okay. All right. And another thing, I don't know if anyone's, and maybe you have been healthcare providers, when we had to start with the masking and everything more than you normally did, you can still write all those off too for the protection of your provider. Some people don't think to write it down, but if you have to have it all the time, that's one thing that they brought to everybody's attention more than they normally did. Okay, so anything like that's deductible too. If you buy a gift for that person, deduct the gift. It's deductible. Maybe you bought flowers or a card or took the person out to lunch or something. That's a gift to the person you're providing for. Okay, so you can have all that. Okay, so I don't know what more to add. There's unless I sit down and actually start the return, but just keep, again and again, I keep saying this over, but just anything and everything. And if you're not sure, just take it to the person that's doing your return and say, can I do this? No matter how silly, or some people say it's stupid. No, it's not stupid. You're the taxpayer. That's important to you and you have a question to ask, okay? So don't ever hesitate.
Well, Sharon, I've included your name. I didn't have your phone. I can't have your phone number off the top of my head, but I put your name and 77 Accounting Services in Circleville. You can Google that to find that, super easy.
Yes.
And Sharon's been very kind. You have questions, no worries, no free, free of charge, and until she does like a tax return. So,
right.
We are recording this, and I'll share it on the YouTube channel where the other video is.
Good.
So, anybody
Where
watching
is
this later,
Circleville?
I'm sorry.
Where is Circleville?
Pickaway County. We are about 30 minutes south of Franklin County, south of Columbus.
Okay.
We're the next county right adjacent to Franklin.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
We're
so-
just a little place.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
George County.
Are you near the river, Donna?
Yes and no. I'm probably about an hour and a half from it, but
Oh, okay.
I camp on the river all the time. in the
Ah,
summer.
very nice. I'm not sure that I've ever been through Portage County.
Mm.
Not much
Yeah, we have people
Penn State.
with, like I said, always call. We're welcome. You're welcome. We can answer your questions. Like I said, I provide for people throughout the state of Ohio. I have out-of-state clients clear across the country. Because now we are set up, we can remote. And we've got security set up finally, that was recommended by the Internal Revenue Service. So anybody that would be interested, and Barbara can supply you with all the information, you can send it straight to me or to the company itself, and then it will get to me. We e-signature. I have someone in Georgia that we do that with, that I do taxes for, and it works out very well. So like I said, or just call if you need assistance, no problem. All right, we're here to help you.
Thank you.
All of us in the office. Okay.
It looks like we've had one other person join us. Hi, Susan. Familiar face for me.
How can I help you, Susan? I'm Sharon Smith.
Oh, you're still muted, Susan.
Oh, she's muted.
Yeah. Should be in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, across the bar, far left corner. I don't know if I can unmute you from
At the
here.
bottom.
Yeah, bottom left,
Right here.
like within Zoom itself.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
There you
got
go.
it. I sorry I'm late. I was watching the other video, and I do have a question about expenses. Are you permitted to track, like when you have job interviews? Like, you know, you go out for the meet and greets and you come back to your house. Are you allowed to deduct that on expenses?
Sharon, for background, that's kind of part of how they meet with the case manager at the county and
Okay.
meet with the client potentially to see if it's a good fit.
Okay. Because you're considered a self-employed individual as a healthcare provider, yes, you can.
Good.
You would have
That's
to
what I
keep
thought it
the
was.
round trip mileage, okay?
Mhm.
And yes, you can. Just keep track of that.
Okay.
As an, if you were an employee, let's say you were an employee under a healthcare service, you could not. But being considered self-employed, Schedule C is what you do on your tax return. Yes, you can.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
You can have that.
I have thought of another question. She made me
Yes.
a question. What about if you're like attending an ISP meeting, but you're not on the clock?
Yeah, so an
And-
ISP meeting, Sharon, is an individual service plan. It's specific to that client. A lot of times they do those annually when the plan starts. It's the plan for the year that goes over basically the services that that person's going to
You
need.
meet with the family and case
yeah.
manager and
Yeah.
I would say yes, as long as it pertains to your position as a healthcare provider. Okay,
and
that's the key to it.
how would I
Okay.
document that?
Pardon me?
How would I document that?
Okay, you would just list what it is and then just put, you know, your round trip mileage down and any other expense you would have there. Is there a fee, Barbara, or anything?
No,
with
not
that?
usually. Donna, you could
Nothing.
probably
Okay.
just in your records, ISP meeting for, you know,
So it would have to
Yeah,
Clients,
that's
document in
what
the
you can
record
do too.
somehow.
Yeah,
Oh,
Okay.
just whatever the what you would refer to it as. But yes, you can. Yes,
Yeah.
you can.
because
Again,
anything,
quick
it's
question.
related to that.
yeah.
Mhm.
For HIPAA, for tax purposes, do we just write the initials or do we write out their name? Is that a HIPAA violation if we do that?
Would you repeat that, please?
Yes. Like if we have an ISP meeting, do we just put the initials of our client?
You could do that if you want, so that you
Okay.
know the separate. Yeah, you can put the initials.
Okay, because I don't
So
want to
that you
violate.
know it was for this person or another person. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
You can do. The
Thank
more
you.
that you know, do what you feel you're comfortable with, but yeah, for detailed so that you can keep everything. Okay, it was 4 different individuals. Yes,
Okay.
that's good to do.
Susan, I always think of if they come back in 5 years and want to know what this mileage was for, what little code of notes did I have down there that I will help me remember that it was legit and I can justify it.
Oh,
That's,
okay.
that's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah, that's good, Barbara.
Like kind
Yes.
of like a cheat sheet
Note.
of all the clients' names and initials so you can remember what's
Yeah.
going on for what year.
Well, I mean, I literally have an Excel spreadsheet and I have beginner odometer and then the total mileage and what it was for.
Okay,
So I just keep that and I save that because anything that I'm putting in as an expense, I have to have proof of what it was. I have to be able to justify it if I'm audited.
okay, right.
Okay, any other questions? I know there's a lot, as I was telling everybody, you know, anything and everything, Susan. Don't hesitate to write it down. And then when whoever prepares your return, ask them. And if you feel you're entitled to it, state, you know, this is why I feel I'm entitled to it. Don't be afraid to tell the preparer, because sometimes we don't know everything. We try to, but everybody learns, you know. And so if I don't know something and my client will question me, which I'm not offended at all. I said, well, I heard this. I'm going to research it for you. Okay. And if you can have it, you're going to get it.
One more question for like,
Mhm.
I was thinking is it okay to buy like just one brand of shoes for work so you can deduct it? I mean, like, because I wear tennis sneakers a lot with my clients, but I don't want to mix them up, like my work shoes with my shoes. Is there any way, like, just to say this is my work shoe, or would that flag the IRS?
Okay. No, that's one thing we need to get on is the clothing. Okay. As far as the shoes, are they special supportive shoes or something like that?
They're just like basic tennis shoes, walking shoes.
Well,
Or would I need to get
they're
something
very funny
special?
about, yeah,
Okay.
they're very funny about that. If you could wear it on the street, they're not going to give it to you. They're not. Like you said, they're regular tennis shoes, but even if you get a different type, so you don't mix it up with your shoes, I, as a preparer, would not give it to you because I couldn't argue it in an audit. Okay. Now, if it was supportive, because of your profession, and I don't mean it has to be real thick, heavy shoes or anything like that, but very supportive because maybe your back to help you with the lifting of the person or anything like that. I would. So, I need these special shoes because I'm lifting all the time and I need the extra support or something, and people have to pay a lot more for them. I've given it to them and I haven't had any issues. I don't give it to everybody, but you have to answer my question correctly and then I'll give it to you. But not just regular tennis shoes, no.
What about like scrubs or something, if you choose to use those as like a work
Yes,
uniform?
scrubs are deductible. They are deductible. Anything that you have to have, let's say, and some people I know do have it. I think, Barbara, maybe occasionally you would, a stethoscope or anything that you keep with you, or first aid kit maybe that you have with you. Some take it on a regular basis. This is what it's for, that's all deductible.
Great.
Okay. Something, to protect who you're providing for. But yeah, scrubs or anything like that that you need. And like I said, Susan, before, I was telling them about a mask, which some want it more so than they ever did before, a face mask. Those are all deductible, and gifts and so forth, any gift to that individual. But yeah, scrubs or anything, like I said, you can deduct all that. Yeah. You have a special first aid kit for just that purpose. It's deductible. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but maybe you have one in the car, but you've got an extra you keep with you all the time for your service to the individual you're providing for. Okay. So,
Susan, we also just touched briefly on office in the home.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or already or not. If
A
you
little
have,
bit. I just watched the first part of the video on YouTube, so
Okay.
I'm taking notes.
yeah. So if you have a designated area that you consider your office where you do your billing and your documentation and such like that, that can be an option for you as well to share with your preparer.
What percentage? Oh, sorry.
Pardon me?
What percentage do they usually take off of rent, out of curiosity?
Okay, there's a difference between owning a home and having an office in a home and renting and an office.
Right.
Okay. And they go by the square footage of the living area over the square footage of the office. And that's how they come up with a percentage. Now, if you rent and you pay $500 a month for rent, you multiply it by 12 if you work 12 months out of the year. Then the percentage is automatically taken, when you enter the information. If you have a home, you only put the mortgage interest and the taxes. You don't do your payments. It's only interest and taxes, but rent, it's what you pay a month for rent. And like I said, it'll calculate it out for you. And then you can have everything. You can have insurance and trash hauling and security system and utilities. And I mean, just everything that they give you, repairs, anything within the office in the home itself, and it better be just for your work, okay? Billing and so forth. Because anything in that office is 100% write-off. Okay. And computer, printer, desk, filing cabinet, but it has to be for healthcare provider. Okay. For your profession, whatever it is. And that's why with an office in the home, some people get more mileage because of that. I'm not saying just have an office in the home so you can do that, but there's different things you can do with mileage concerning that. So once you leave there in the morning, go place to place. So, but as you can see, there's so many things you can write off. Mm-hmm.
Susan, she also mentioned cell phone as well earlier before you signed on with us. So
yeah. And I heard that, well, I think they've already was effective on January the 22nd. Postage went up to 63 cents. Okay. I couldn't believe it. I was notified on it, but if you have to send something out concerning whoever you provide for, take the stamp off. That's 63 cents. Rounds up to $1. Okay, I know it sounds silly, but hey, you're entitled to, and the envelope. I tell my clients this, they sort of look and smile at me, but when they get done and see that bottom line, they're not too disappointed. Okay.
It all adds up.
Yeah. So yes, it does. People just don't realize how, yes, it does. It adds up. But like I said, to try to cover everything, unless you have any other question, it's just anything and everything. But office in the home, they're really strict on that. I'm not afraid to give it, but you have to answer my questions, and then you get all that right off, a percentage of it. And
then as far as like classes that we're required to take for the medication certificate or the first aid and CPR class, can we write those off as well? The cost of the class.
Yeah, you can, like I said, educational classes, training for first aid, anything, seminars. And I know this, let's say you live in Columbus, but to receive either the training or the education, or just more information on being a better healthcare provider, let's say is in Cincinnati. Okay. So you get that round trip. Now let's say it's a 2-day course and you have to spend the night. You'll get the hotel, but you better have the receipt for it or you're not going to get it. Okay. Very strict on that. Meals is iffy. I've had people ask me that. I said maybe one meal, but it better be just for that purpose. They're not saying you can't go to a movie later in the evening and enjoy yourself while you're down there, but that better be the main purpose, to go down there for that. Okay. Now let's say you're at the hotel and it's clear across the city of Cincinnati. You can have mileage from the hotel to there. If you fly somewhere, and I mean, it's got to be with your, I had someone that did that for a certain, and I mean, it really had to be for a certain situation. I've only had it once, and she got the air flight there and back because that was her reason. Okay. So like I'm telling you, these things can, and that's why I ask a lot of questions when people come in, if you went to a seminar, you went to this to help you with your profession, you can have them, but boy, keep those receipts on that, especially because they are strict on that travel part. So,
a question.
Susan?
Yeah. If you plan a vacation with a client or go for a concert out of town, let's say that's on their ISP, as far as like that's one of the goals for the year. So you get the concert tickets, you get a hotel room. Are you able to split like the hotel room in half with your client and then write off the concert tickets, or no?
Okay, are you just decided you're gonna take the client?
Well, it's one of their ISP goals. Let's say they want to see, I don't know, Carrie Underwood in Cleveland.
Okay,
And so you do the driving, and then, you go to the concert and spend, the night at the hotel, and you do some sightseeing. Would you be able to write off meals on that, or no?
no, it would be your part, you would take, you'd have the mileage and you're part of the ticket, okay, because your client's paying for it, right? Or you're
Well, no, I paid for my own ticket, and I'm paying
Okay,
for
okay,
half of the hotel room, or their.
okay, yeah, it'd be what you paid for. But if
Yeah.
you did just the driving, you could have the total on that, though.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
thought. Okay.
Yeah,
great.
because your client's what, is with you.
Okay.
Yes, you can have that. And the hotel stay, your share of it, if you have to. Yeah, maybe for a reason you have to stay for the night. And then maybe for the health of the person or something, you can't drive back, or whether you can, but otherwise I'm not going to give you the hotel for the night unless there's a good reason.
Not at this age.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I understand. Yeah, but if you just choose to spend the night and have fun, no. But if there's a reason, weather or something, I can talk that through an audit, Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, but that's a good question, because a lot of people don't ask when things like that occur, if they can have it. And yes, you can, your part.
Well, I know one of the agencies that I worked with, that the DSPs were going on vacation because her dream was to go to like Disney World or Disneyland. I get them both confused. But anyway, so the DSP went with her. And I was wondering if, from what I heard from you, you could write off the plane ticket and then maybe the hotel.
Okay, if she's going with her or him, whatever,
Yeah.
if that person is going with the individual for, to help with care,
Yeah, to
that's
help
the
with
main
care,
thing, right? And then yes, they can take their share off. Okay, because that's the purpose. That's your profession, and that's what you're doing. Okay, and
Okay, cool.
and again, in fact, I have someone that takes a person vacation every year. Well, is with that person every year, to just enjoy themselves, but it's still providing health, protection,
Safety.
care during the time that they're on vacation. Yep. That's the main thing, that you can say, yes, I was also, I went there to help care for her while she was on vacation. You're still providing that service, you're still getting paid. Okay. So you can have that. So that's no problem. I know a lot of people will sort of be iffy about it or walk away from it. I'm not afraid of it. If you answer my questions and I know I can argue it, we're going to put it on that return. Okay. So those are good questions, Susan.
Thank you.
But yeah, so as you can see, there's just a lot, much more than people realize. So, but anyhow.
Well, great.
Yep.
Any more questions? Okay, we covered a lot today.
Yeah, we
Again,
did. And like I said, they're welcome to call. I don't have to prepare anything like that. You can just, you're welcome to call me, just ask a question anytime that you have one.
Great.
Barbara will see that you have our number here,
Mhm.
and we'll be more than glad to help and ask, because some people, well, we've already talked about a lot, but may hear something different after, we leave this session. Please don't hesitate, and we're not going to charge anything just to talk to you and answer your question. It's important to you. Okay.
So like I said previously, this is being recorded. I'll upload this to the YouTube. On the outside chance that the chat doesn't come through so everybody can see it. It's Sharon Smith from 77 Accounting Services in Circleville, Ohio. I don't have ready access to her phone number, but you can Google that and get access to it. And like she said, she's
I can give you the phone number.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, I have my mobile number, 740-412-0717. And then I'll give you the office number is 740-500-6120. And you can ask for Sharon Smith.
Great.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time today, Sharon. Thank you, ladies, for attending.
You're welcome. I enjoyed
you.
it, and I hoped I helped you three ladies in some way. I hope.
Well, I know our previous video had, last time I checked, over 100 views on YouTube. So,
Oh, goodness.
yeah, I know. So you're viral.
Well, if it can help just a little bit, that makes me feel good.
It's huge. My take from talking with providers is this is a huge gap of information that many of them haven't really gotten guidance on. So
Okay.
again, I really appreciate your time with this, Sharon. It helped a
Oh,
lot.
well, you're very welcome. Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem at all. It was nice meeting all of you. All of you have a good afternoon.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.